Good evening. It's me, Eric the Plasterer. Evening, guys. Oh dear. I'm assuming it's the regulars that have tuned in at this point in time. I have finally got off my lazy backside and decided to definitely give tonight a bit of a go. Have a little chat, probably more chat about anything, guys, rather than anything plastering related, obviously, for anyone else that's never watched this before. And I've overeaten and I feel just like I was on a bit of a diet before Christmas and lost quite a few kilos, and I was well pleased with myself. And now I've I think I've more or less put it all back on in a really short space of time, because I started practicing for the Christmas dinner probably a few weeks before Christmas, so it hasn't helped. But I could have quite easily, like a lot of people tonight probably, just stayed vegging out in front of the telly because I don't know, I just but we're here now, guys. I just wanted to catch up and see what was happening, if you all had a good Christmas, if you got any really good prezzies, be them plastering related ones or not. If anybody new is watching, then if you've got any plastering related questions, I'm Eric the Plasterer. I've been a plasterer for 37 years in South London, and you can type away. Normally you can ring in, but I couldn't be bothered tonight to set up the phone line. So if you're watching it on the telly box, I'm afraid you can't ring in this evening. Sorry about that, but it is Christmas still, isn't it? And we're at that funny stage between Christmas and the New Year, which for me anyway, I don't book any jobs until at least probably about the 5th of January or whenever the first Monday is after New Year's Day is when I'll normally do it. Diggity, hello mate, I can rely on you to be there straight away, brother. Appreciate it, mate. I did put the feelers out to whether or not anyone would want to come up for a chat tonight, and it was nearly kind of 50-50, a little bit more in favour of going ahead and doing a bit of a live stream, and why not, it's no big deal. At the end of the day, he says, after setting up the computer and making sure I've got all my green screens up that I've got for Christmas, I've got more green linen in this house now than every time I opened one I said, oh thanks, another green tablecloth. That's what I've always wanted. And so the uninitiated people don't realise you need green screens for all this background malarkey. If you want it to look half any good anyway. Then and people that were at my ear for Christmas when I was opening them up, they're thinking, what the hell? Why has he got all these green tablecloths for Christmas? What does he want those for? I linked it to some kind of Irish thing, but I can't remember where it was now. But I confessed in the end. My daughter, Mark, thanks. She's absolutely pucker back to normal. She thankfully she had it fairly mild, but she literally got it on because she's a teacher, and she literally got it the last day she was meant to be going in. She had loads of plans with her boyfriend and going to see some friends of hers up in Leicester, and the whole thing got blown out literally on that particular Friday. And fortunately, a friend in Leicester that she was going to visit with some other girls up there, she got it as well about a day later, so that wouldn't have been great, and so she couldn't really go ahead with that anyway, so it kind of panned out all right. She was meant to technically be allowed out by Christmas Day, my daughter this is, and then with Boris's new rules, and she did a couple of tests after about 7 days of self-isolating, and she had no more symptoms, nothing. Well, initially something still showed up on the test, but then she did another test, and that was well clear, day before Christmas, I think, at least. So so the Christmas that we'd kind of put off, and we changed all the arrangements, got completely moved back to more or less normal, thankfully. So we did have Christmas on Christmas Day, which wasn't going to happen. My other daughter was going to go and see her in-laws, whose stuff hadn't happened. Nothing happened at evening, Swayze, and happened yeah, their plans hadn't happened because someone else couldn't travel from abroad. So my oldest daughter was going to shoot over there, but then a mother-in-law got not that well. It wasn't COVID, but something else. So they were going to be stuck at home. We thought, well, we can do Christmas back on time if you want. So that's what happened. And basically, I've been stuffing my face ever since. So I'm feeling a little bit, to say the least. I mean, it's lovely. I literally just eat what I want at Christmas. And you get so many goodies and stuff in, don't you, that you just goes a bit, well, I don't know about you, I just go a bit silly. Oh, Mark, I haven't turned off my washing machine jingle yet. But it's not been quite so bad since we stuck it in built a little laundry, not a house, it's a shed that just about fits the washing machine in just outside the back. So you can still hear it playing a tune, but it's not as irritating as it used to be when it was in the old in the kitchen. Yeah, thanks, Mark. Yeah, so I'm really pleased my daughter's back to normal, and her boyfriend's been over as well, and then now they've gone back over to his, so got a bit of peace and quiet because me and the missus have been run a bit ragged just before, because it was a bit short notice that we were going to definitely be doing Christmas again on Christmas Day. And we do a Boxing Day dinner as well. So, yeah, hang on, let's change the old scenery. I'll stay at the pub for a little while. By the old campfire. There, that's it. Here we go. Yeah, so it's all been a bit of a mad rush. Not been allowed to play on my computer over Christmas, which is fair enough. I'm working on my usual kind of stupid special effect things that I really enjoy doing. I'm going to try and incorporate those into some of my new plastering videos next year. I know I haven't been doing as many plastering videos as you should if you want to keep your channel popular to would-be plasterers and the like. But I'm pleased to see that Anthony and all the other guys, they're posting like plenty of really good content out there, and their channels are growing really well, which is great to see. I'll hang on in there. Keep doing the old Ask the Plasterer. I will get new videos up next year, and I'm going to put a bit of a twist on them with my silly twiddly diddlies that I do with my special effects and stuff, just to make them a bit different, probably, because at the end of the day, there is quite a few plastering channels now, aren't there? So there's a lot to choose from, and they're all mostly are really good. So I just don't like it when the guys argue amongst themselves about anything that they don't agree with. But we like to keep it civil here, guys, don't we? So and that's all good. So have you not had a good old Christmas? You get all the presents you wanted? I've seen some guys got like new radios, like site radios, stuff like that. Someone else I think got a battery whisk, the old DeWalt. I think that was a present from the missus. I think it had batteries with it as well. So yeah, cool. My missus wouldn't spend that much money on me, or let me spend that much money on myself. Well, I don't think she would anyway. But yeah, but so basically we had a pretty good Christmas, and now it's nice now there's nobody in the house apart from me and the missus again, so we can kind of like chill out until whenever. The kitchen, for those of you that know about it, that I got from my daughter's place, which I did manage to squeeze into my garage, is still in the garage at this moment in time. But yeah, I'm meant to be getting cracking with that. Well, probably today was probably not a great idea. You've got to have a bit of breathing space after you've been just stuffing your face and not doing a lot, because that does take it out of you, as you probably know. Hopefully I'm going to be starting smashing tiles and things off in my kitchen tomorrow, because I don't think we've got any more imminent cooking to do, and it would have been a bit silly to start hacking it all off just before we're meant to be doing Christmas dinner and Boxing Day dinner. So yeah, we did a lot of that, or didn't do a lot of that rather. And then so I'm probably going to be starting getting on with that tomorrow, and I'll keep you posted. I might do some video of it, but as I say, there might be a lot of swearing on it, especially when it comes to trying to fit an old kitchen into where my old kitchen was. And I'm going to have to get another skip on to put all my old kitchen in, and plus assorted rubbish that is currently in my garden that came out of the garage to make space for the kitchen. units that are in there at the minute. So anything that was in the garden, even if it was half decent, is ain't so hot now because it's been raining quite a lot, and quite a few bits out there aren't meant to get wet, let alone absolutely drenched. I'm not on the coat tonight. I'm on the single malt because I got it for Christmas as a Christmas present, and I have to say, it's bloody lovely. Can't remember which one it is. One of them Glenfiddich kind of names, but anyway, it's very nice indeed. All right, guys, we can start here. We can pop into the pub if you like. Any yes or no's on that one? You might be sick of the pub or the Irish jigs that they sing in the background every fortnight for the last few weeks now. But if you've got a preference, let me know. We can stay by the campfire, or we can pop into the pub. I'm easy either way. For anyone that's not a regular that's tuned in, I'm Eric the Plasterer. You can ask me any plastering related questions, or the other guys. They're here this evening. It was touch and go whether or not to do Ask the Plasterer tonight, because around Christmas time I just get lazy. Another thing I have to confess to, when I'm not working, and this does mostly happen at Christmas rather than any other time that I'm off, is that I start going to bed ridiculously late. And a little bit at a time, and getting up too late in the morning. Well, when I'm allowed to get up late over Christmas, that hasn't kind of happened too much. But ended up going to bed about 1 or 2, and then not wanting to go to bed till whenever, and then getting up at. I've been struggling to get up before 10 o'clock, and it's still so dark out. Oh, here, Ian, nice to see you, mate. Thanks. I thought it'd make a change. Make a change. A bit of a toasted something around the fire. Toasted toast, it looks like, by glancing at it. But I thought I'd leave them there because even though they got coats on it, I was just getting too hot around that fire, mate. I'd get down to my t-shirt. But there you go. So that's kind of more or less what I've been doing. Not a lot, as I suppose most of us haven't. Did you get anything nice, Ian, or Mark, or Swayze, or Diggity? Anything nice for Christmas, or is it just the like usual socks and pants job, or anything work related? Been on holiday? Did you get a good supply of Magi Mix, Easy Mix? I mean, I got a decent supply of Easy Mix. I didn't win any in the competitions, though. Congratulations to the guys that did, including quite a few of you guys. And I know Eddie got some as well. I don't think Eddie's here tonight. He's probably snoring in the front room with his feet up in front of the box. Not that there's been a lot of good stuff on particularly. There's been the odd programme that I like, but I'm probably quite happy just to watch an old Father Ted or something like that at the end of the day. Another thing I wanted to mention tonight, guys, was a really big thank you for being part of the channel, for subscribing to that, for being on the Discord forum community where we can have a good old chat there. And it's nice that we got that camaraderie there, and we kind of like, I know we don't know each other really well, but it's nice to get to know each other a bit better on there and ask questions of each other and see what each other's doing, and the few Christmas pictures I know we put up, and how to fix your washing machine if it makes a horrible singing noise that you've got tired of. So cheers again for that, Mark. You got some Diggity, didn't you? Because apart from the guys that won some stuff, some Easy Mix from the competition, from the draw, I think Mark sent out quite a few free samples again, just to quite a few of the guys. You might as well go crazy. And some other fella, I'm not sure it is, won the old gaming chair. If I'd have done any research and it wasn't Christmas, which then I might have done, I'd remember what his name was and who it was. But so that all went pretty well. Whiskey, sweets and some clothes. Oh, sounds good, mate. Oh yeah, lovely. Whiskey. Funnily enough, I got the whiskey. I've got some new clothes. And I think my eldest daughter knows I like a bit of chocolate, so she always buys me those massive bars of the old Cadbury's chocolate. Only trouble is, once I've got one, I'll start just breaking off. You got a little bar, you might break off a line of squares, but because it's so massive, the amount of squares I break off is like a big bar of chocolate every time, and I'll get through it in no time at all. And so that ain't helped with not putting weight back on that I try to get off. I was just over before Christmas. Oh dear. Silver, yay! Happy Christmas, my dear. Eka, thoughts on sponge float skim? Well, Eka, I tell you what, mate, I really, if a lot of guys love a bit of sponge floating, I don't do it. I only did it when I was at college, and that was like, forever ago. And I didn't like it. And quite a few of the guys that do it have recently done videos sort of saying why they're not doing it so much anymore. They're not doing it. And there's lots of debates about it. I haven't really done it in the last 30 odd years. So I find for me, it's just you're just doing an extra piece of an extra bit of work that you don't need to do. When I started out, I was like site working at first, and as soon as I got on site, they didn't want any messing about. They wanted 2 coats on the wall, and they wanted it flat and smooth as quickly as you could do it. They didn't want 2 or 3. They didn't want 3 coats or more, which I was told that you could possibly do. And as for sponging it, mate, they'd sort of say, "What are you doing?" You know. So even if I'd ever intended doing any sponging, it never happened. And then when you've done it for years without sponging, you kind of think, what's the point of adding that into the mix? Didn't mean that pun, but yeah. So my thoughts on it, Eka, are I don't tend to bother with it. If it's something you think you'd like to do when you're skimming, then go for it every time, mate. But for me personally, as most of the guys know, I can't be bothered with sponging anything. Diggity, you got some freebies, Diggity, didn't you? Yeah, you did. Mark did send out some freebies of the old Easy Mix over the Christmas thing. So I'm hoping he's done. I don't know how much he's given away a fair amount of the gear over Christmas. I don't think too many of the regular guys that won anything will be ordering anytime soon. But yeah, cool. I've got a lovely bottle of Speyside whiskey too. Is that a single malt, Ian? That one? I mean, I don't mind a bit of blended whiskey because it's quite smooth. But if anyone's going to buy me whiskey, I always say, any single malt will do me. I'm not really fussy. But I don't know why single malts are more. I know they are more expensive, but I've never really known why single malt whiskey is more expensive than blended stuff. Perhaps you can give me a heads up on that one. Michael, I want 21 bags and a hat to keep my brains warm. Can't wait to go back to work. The only time I kind of think, I'm going to enjoy work is over Christmas, or you've been that long period before you go back. And just before that, as I'm going back, I think, I washed the old car down and my van, my 4-wheel thing. It's not really a van. Clear it all out, get my tools all nice and ready, and make sure my clothes are washed. And I want to get back out there and get cracking. And I'm good for about a week, and then I'm kind of like back to I'd rather be off again. But that's I think to some degree that's an age thing as well. The older you get, the more lazy you get, or you just don't feel. You just get tired easier, and which is like what a lot of the regulars know is why I use Easy Mix additives to slow down my sets, so I can just go a bit slower rather than put on more. Freebies, yeah, cool. Ian, have you got that? Michael, you won the bags and the hat as well, mate. You got, didn't you? Yeah. The hat is good. T-shirt, a bit cold for the old T-shirt at the minute, but I think Mark should make some sweatshirts as well, as Stuart Roberts, Trow Talk. You get he's done. He's got T-shirts as well, T-shirts, hats, and sweatshirts. Have you got much work booked in for the new year? I've currently I've got nothing. I've got nothing actually booked in. But I tend to find it one or two of my customers that I've worked for before rang me a week or so ago before Christmas and said, they've got work they want doing, and they realised I probably don't want to do it till January, and they were right. So I was going to go and look at them, and then I said, "Look, guys, I'll come and have a look in as soon as we get into the new year." and give them quotes and book them in. And the way work's been going, it does tend to come in fairly pronto, as I think it will do in the new year as well. So I haven't got a ton of stuff booked in. It's probably more me being lazy more than anything. But yeah, so we'll see how it goes. I'm assuming things are still going to be busy. As I said, there is going to be a massive, there's already a big shortage of spreads and other tradesmen out there at the minute. So the world is our oyster in the old work department, guys. So yeah, but I'll keep you posted. Dear, I need to do some more jobs, so I've got something I can film for a video. That was a single malt. Yeah, single malt is lovely. Diggity, have you got much better yet? But Ian, single malt is from the same distillery. Blended can be a mix of all others. Yeah, I just wondered, Ian, why the mixed stuff was cheaper. Because I'm assuming they're all single malts, though less of each one, all mixed together, unless it's their dregs from each single malt whiskey maker. And they go, we don't really use that in that part of the single malt's a bit iffy, so we'll flog it off so it can be blended by the whiskey manufacturers that just do blended whiskies. I assume some of those manufacturers only do, like Bell's and that, only do blended whiskey. I don't think they do any kind of single malts. I could be completely wrong because I'm not a whiskey expert, other than knowing that I really like the taste of it. But I didn't used to. I used to drink a fair bit of it when I was a teeny bopper. But probably with a mixer in it, but I used to be so violently sick after some party or disco from drinking too much of it, and I swore blind I'd never touch it again. Just the smell of it was a bit dicky, as was Pernod and or Bacardi. Because I used to get tanked up on those as a teenager as well, and most of what went in came out again, and I couldn't handle my drink then. I'm not that hot. I'm handling it now. Dear. Simon, I'm a spread from West London. Should I be asking for a pay rise? But it depends what they're paying you now, mate, I suppose. If you're working for a builder, small builder who's might have you and maybe one other spread going, he'll probably want to pay you as little as possible, because that's generally what small builders expect you to do, an awful lot for your money. I mean, I've got some small builder friends I work for occasionally, but they know what price I want to do some work for them, and they're kind of happy to pay it. But I don't work for them on a regular basis because, I just, I'm too busy with my domestics for myself. But you can do, mate. They can only say no at the end of the day. Only say no. Ian, is Bell's even whiskey? Oh, I don't know, mate, to be honest with you. Simon, I work for a company with 50 blokes. Oh, well, yeah, I'm assuming you're on a day rate then, Simon, working for them. You should, if you're half decent spread, mate, you should be on a well, in my opinion, I suppose it might depend slightly whereabouts you are, but you should be getting at least 200 quid a day, or more. And if you're not, then definitely ask them for a rise. Excuse me while I just lovely jubbly. Right, yeah. So what was I waffling about, guys, before that? Or what we were getting for Christmas? Whiskey, feeling lazy. Not having any major work booked in for the new year. I'm just not popular enough as a plasterer to the day. But no, I've never had any kind of major problems apart from when there was the old what do you call them? Not a drought. Dear. Whiskey is lethal. It is, mate. It is, Simon, yeah. But no, cool. Eka, when pricing for a builder, would the cost per metre be the same as for a private job if, say, 100 metres for either? generally, the only time I ever did meterage was working for like big building companies doing like large site jobs like hotels and places like that. And generally they would say, look, we pay this much a meter, and if you was any good speed wise at covering large areas, and you would either accept it and go for it, or you go, well, now I won't make any money on that kind of rate. Domestics, on the other hand, private jobs, you can work out how long you're going to be in there for, work out your materials, what day rate you're happy with, roughly how long it's going to take you. And you'll make more money, in my opinion, on a domestic job than you would for a builder. And if you're working with a lot of guys for a big building company, then that's not kind of a major issue. If you're working for a small builder who might be doing extensions and stuff, that are technically or more or less domestics, then he's going to want to generally make as big a profit as possible. So apart from what he lumps on to the end of his quote, that's got nothing to do with the work involved, it's just like a profit margin. He's going to want you to do it as cheaply as possible. I worked for a guy, I won't mention his name, but wow, he squeaked when he was so tight. And oftentimes I'd go, yeah. This is quite a few years back as well. And I go, yeah, okay, mate, I'll do that. And, I'd work my balls off, and at the end of it, I think, oh, blimey. And he'd still go, oh, yeah, aren't you charged far too much? And I go, you're having a laugh, mate, aren't you? Because at the time then, any other domestics I did around, like work for him, paid me much better. And I kind of thought, why did you just stop working for the bloke? He's too squeaky. You give him a price and you'll go, oh, I'm not paying that. What you made of gold or something? And he was squeaky, and I assume he might have retired by now, I don't know. But I assume he's still squeaky if he hasn't. But he never changed in all the years that I knew him. Don't charge by the meter for domestic jobs, because it's generally there's not a lot of meterage in. Like if you're doing a room or a hall, stairs and landing, not a lot of meters in it, unless you're charging a real good price per meter, more than the builder would ever pay you. You're not going to make a lot of money. So the short answer, because I do tend to waffle a bit, is for a private job, you get better money. But yeah, don't do meterage. If you can, don't do meterage for a builder. Tell him you want so much for the day's money, and if he's not happy to pay you that, then depending, as I say, how much work you're currently doing or you're getting coming in, say, well, sorry then, mate, get another spread, because I'm not doing it for that. And depending on what the situation is and how much he likes you, or actually does want you to do it and knows he can well afford to give you more money, then he'll probably give you more. Simon, I used to get robbed on meter work, not worth it. Yeah, exactly. I never found doing meterage any fun at all. In fact, in recent years, if any builder or anybody ever rang me up and asked me about what my meterage price was, I'd say, forget it, mate. I don't do anything by the meter. Simon, it never includes the reveals. What's his name? Roger the Dodger. Yeah, probably. Always be prepared to say no. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, if he's, I'm obviously, when I was a younger spread, I would often go, okay, on certain jobs and think, I'll get it done fairly quick, and then realise it was a bit of a pain in the backside job for one reason or another. Like the water was, so that was working in a school for a builder, and the water supplier was a bloody half an hour's walk down some corridor, and it had to be when the school was shut during school holidays, I never happily got my wages from that particular guy. I thought, oh yeah, done all right there. I used to think, flipping hell, he's rubbing me blind. for my labour skills. Dear. So yeah. For anyone that might be new and has just joined us, this is the Christmas edition of Post Chat, which is Christmas After Plasterer, and normally, just generally, I'm here just to answer any plastering related questions, which I'm still here to do this evening. But other than that, just having a general chat about how everybody's Christmas went, because a lot of the guys that come here every other Monday are regulars, and they're probably sick of hearing me talking about anything to do with plastering. But they come back every time. God bless them all. Yeah. Again, guys, thanks for supporting the channel, for supporting After Plasterer, the live stream, the podcast, and the Discord community. There's 48 of us on there now, which is nice, and it's kind of, it's not overly busy, and I think we all get on well, and we all use it a lot. But so many people missing out for not being a part of that. But as ever, I've said it before, I'll say it again. In all my video descriptions, there is a link, and I think it's pretty near the top of all of them, for the Discord community. And you just click on that, and you'll get sent an invite to join us on that forum, where we can all chat to each other any time of the day or night, and post pictures and stuff. And we just generally help each other out on there, which is really nice, And all a friendly bunch on there, I'm pleased to say. So that's all good. That's all good. I didn't even say the word no, I just laugh and walk away. Yeah, that is probably the best thing to do, so it's just to laugh and start, turn around and start heading for the door. Dear. I mean, when this junk comes up on the bottom of the screen here, I'm not quite sure how people, it's like some dodgy link to something, but thankfully I don't think you can takes you anywhere. So, but anywho, I'm not ever going to click on anything that looks like a dodgy link to find out. I'll have a breather, have another. Yeah, I'm currently. Oh, hang on, silver. Yeah, what's the best 240 volt mixer at the moment? The DeWalt one. I only do domestics. Don't want a transformer or a battery mixer. I think silver, the best 240 volt mixer is the old Mega Mixer, the Refiner, which is what I use. And you've seen it in all my videos, mate. And that one where I give me old mixer a rub down and make it like new. That's and it's packed with a torque on it. It's amazing. As you say, you don't if you're just doing domestics, you don't need the battery job or or you don't need a transformer anyway, do you? When it's 240 volts. Unless you're working on site. But as I said to some of the other guys, that it's good to have the battery operated one if you work on a site, but man, you'd have to keep your eyes on it. I would be, because I'd had tools nicked off a site in the past. Presumably it's sort of an inside job. If it's really busy and there's tradesmen all over the place, you don't know, or labourers or whatever, you don't know who might nick your gear. But you'd have to take it if you did go out to lunch to a cafe, you'd have to take your DeWalt with you. Because you wouldn't want to leave it just lying around on a site job. Plastering is real art. Yeah, I'll give you that, Simon. We are a dying breed, mate. I mean, some, like I say, me and a lot of older guys were taught loads of stuff other than because like a lot of skimming and dot and dab goes on now, which is great. But we have to learn floor screeding, tiling, fibrous plastering. Running fibrous plaster on a bench or up on the wall, which was nice to learn initially. But I didn't want to do half of those things. I'm a rubbish tiler. I'll tile above a splashback, above a sink or a bath, but I wouldn't tile a whole bathroom, especially not for a customer. I probably wouldn't get paid on account of the fact that the corners where everything meets are meant to be square, and the tiles should really be the same size. Oh dear. Ruby do a good run. I'm £100. Yeah, you can get a fairly decent mixer. Even B&Q's mixer, I think it's about 80-90 quid. I don't know how long they'll last. I've heard some guys have had them for quite a few years and they're happy with them. But as I say, when I've bought a Refina Mega Mixer, because they're the ones that you get from a hire shop, you kind of know they're going to last. And I've only had 3 of them in my whole career. So, or since I've had one of those. I didn't used to, when I worked on site, we had labourers there that were knocking up the gear and you just had to spread it. Actually, that's a nice memory because that was quite nice. You just go like, you need more gear, or if there was a team of you on some huge hallway, there'd be labourers just supplying the gear to your spot board, and you'd just be whacking it on and rolling it off, and that bit was nice. Working on your own in domestics, the fact you've got to knock up your own gear, unless you've got a labourer, but on a lot of domestic jobs, it doesn't pay. It doesn't really pay. Especially if you've got big electric whisk, to have a labourer knocking it up, because yeah, if he's knocking up for 2 or 3 of you and there's a small gang of you, then definitely, but other than that, no. Plastering covers a multitude, but it does, mate. I do a lot of crack repairs in London these days. Anything, as soon as people say to me, "Oh, there's a crack, can you put a bit of scrim over it and plaster over it?" And I think, well, if I try doing that, mate, it'd probably look worse than if you just put a bit of filler in the crack. Or unless I could put some kind of scrim over it and go over the whole thing. But I hate patching anything up unless it's really called for. And cracks and stuff, I tend to tell people they need to get a good decorator in to sort those out. And good decorators do a good job of stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, guys, plastering is a decorative finish. It doesn't really hold a building up or the room that you're doing. It just makes it go from looking like a blockwork garage to a nice cosy room. Once it's all been nicely spread and it's got some paint on and they've got the carpet down and lovely lights, which is the reason why doing garage conversions is quite a lot of fun and quite satisfying as well. Another thing, so before we go back to mixers, is the people next door to my daughter's new place. I said to my daughter, you could make your garage, which is attached to the side, kind of built on as part of the block. You could make that into another room if you didn't want to use it as a garage. And the people next door literally just had that done just before Christmas. Right, it started just before Christmas. And what I couldn't believe was, as I came out of my daughter's place and I looked, that they'd dug a metre down, presumably for a foundation, for a wall that wasn't going to be supporting any weight. And I talked to my brother-in-law about it because he used to do civil engineering and drawings and all the stuff that you need for planning. And he said, that's crazy, which I thought it was. But this is over in Kingston, and I can't believe even the building regs there would tell you to dig a metre deep to put up a brick wall that's also going to have a window in it that was no more than 10 foot across, probably not even that, and about 8 foot height wise. Had a window in and was just going to butt up underneath the original garage lintel. So yeah, if any of you got any ideas what that's all about, I'd like to know. Unless the builders was just like to be careful. Or unless the building rig said, no, sorry mate, you have got to dig that a metre down and to match the foundations on that the rest of the block is built on, even though you're putting on a wall on it that's not load bearing in any way whatsoever. But hey ho. Refina mixer is an even stock. What's an even stock? A little bit of kit mixes, anything. Or is that the actual like Pucker brand name and Refina just stick their name on it? Mark, is that what you mean? Simon, Megamix, check you out, love. Yeah, is a lovely mixer. Jamie, hello Jamie, nice to see you, mate. Go for the Alpha. Yeah, I'll have to have a look at some of these online, see what they're like. I mean, I personally probably wouldn't, wouldn't step out from what I'm used to. And of the one I've got now, probably see me out, even if I am plastering until I'm 90. Simon, EML and resin, Healy bars. What's that, Simon? What are we talking about there? I know what EML is and resin, but what's Healy bars? Oh, right, okay, after it. Simon, I did a crack a while back. You could see next door through. Yeah, the neighbour, yeah. Oh dear. Yeah, there's a possibility they might have a bit of subsidence, mate, or subsidence. Or I call it subsidence. But yeah, if you're getting cracks where you can see people through next door, that's not a good sign. Oh dear. Yeah, getting quite a lot of these kind of crap things coming up, but I'm pretty sure they don't lead to anything, even on the when it's not on the screen, on the usual bit where you do your typing and stuff. Oh, stitching up brickwork, right? Gotcha. Yeah. If you're going to stitch up something like proper cracks, then you can put your resin in and put your bars across it and all the rest of it. Then yeah. I thought you meant like little cracks. Like when you get the hairline cracks. I have had customers in the past ring me up and they go, "Oh God, I've got a major issue here. There's a massive crack, and a few a few bits around my windowsill. Oh yeah, I'm not happy about. I'm a bit concerned." And I'm thinking, "Oh man, what have I done? What's gone wrong here?" And I go over to these jobs. Thankfully, this is quite a while ago as well, and expecting the worst. And I walk in. Firstly, I have to get the customer to point out to me where this crack is or where these things are that are an issue, because I can't see them, and there's nothing to do with not having my glasses. And they go, "Look here," and I'm kind of like getting as close as I can. Finally, I can just about make out a crack, and they go, "Look at that," and I go, "What, this here?" And they go, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, I'm not very happy about that bit around the windowsill." And I look at around the windowsill, and I think, what, that I can't really see anything, but the bit that if you're even vaguely concerned, you put a bit of cork along there or a decorator wood. It's not something I would call the plasterer back for. And but I think on that one I rubbed a bit of sandpaper over the fine crack, which I think that made it disappear, and stuck a bit of cork over this little bit on the windowsill. And which I didn't mind doing. It's just what was more alarming for me was it was the day before, the evening before, that they'd text me, and of course I'm then stressing. I'm a bit of a stressor, that there was something major had gone wrong, But then you get there, it's quite a nice relief. It's just really like, I don't know, ultra fussy or kind of like, ooh, look at this. You kind of think, "Oh, really?" But hey ho. Dear. Like the one-handed mixers, then you can pour the bag with the other hand. There is in stock alpha mixer, orange one. All right, okay, cool. Yeah, I tend to because I mix up my gear in quite a big old tub. I normally I tip the whole bag into the water. Excuse me. Anyway, and then like grab my whisk and get going. The only time you need to be able to like hold the whisk with one hand and tip the gear in with the other is if you've made your first mix too watery, you need to add a bit to it. But even then, I'll just stick a couple of more handfuls in and then start whisking again. But I generally mix up whole bags at a time. So yeah, there's not a lot of need to having to hold the whisk with one hand and try and tip the bag in with the other at the end of the day. But yeah, if you do need to, then it's easier to obviously have a whisk you can hold with one hand. And one guy I saw in here once, he quite preferred the ones with and the handle went now. But it wasn't like, because on my Refina it's like a double, like spans out that way, and whichever one he had, he reckoned it was less strain on his back, which might be true. Excuse me, I'll have a bit more of my old lovely old single malt whiskey. Lovely jubbly. If you have just joined us, I'm Eric the Plasterer. This is the Christmas edition of Ask the Plasterer, where I'm here to answer any of your plastering related questions. Been a plasterer for 37 years in South London, and and tonight we're just chilling out a bit, having a bit of a chat about how Christmas went, what tools we might have got for Christmas. But you are very welcome to ask any plastering related questions, and I'll do my best to answer them. If you're watching on the TV and you can't type, you could normally ring in, but I haven't got the phone line connected up tonight, as it's Christmas. So, wow. Well, if I'm honest, I just couldn't be. I'm just too lazy. And I put the feelers out to whether or not I should do tonight. And I thought, yeah, if enough people come back and go, you know what, El, don't bother tonight, just put your feet up, then I probably would have done. Prior to that, when I thought, oh yeah, it's Ask the Plasterer tonight, I was just about to jump on and go, look guys, let's wait until next time. But I thought, well, I don't want to do it next week because I think it's New Year's Day, or just about when the next Ask the Plasterer is, and I didn't want to leave it so it was a 3-week gap in between. So and then we're 10 years into the new year. I didn't want to be wishing people, hello, welcome to Ask the Plasterer, Happy New Year, even though we're 10 days in to it already. So I thought, yeah, let's do tonight, assuming it might not be on here for quite as long as we usually are. But so far we're doing pretty well. So thank you guys. Welcome along. Lee, hello mate. Yeah, it's all going really swimmingly. It's been a good busy old year. The Christmas has been good. We had a little drop of COVID in the house, but didn't affect me or the missus. Just my daughter, she got over it pretty quick. It was only mild. We've had boosters. She'd had a couple of the jabs, so I'm hoping that all helps. And hopefully this I'm a blooming chronic flipping thing is very contagious, but hopefully not as bad. And if loads of people get it, then will hopefully help with the old herd immunity thing, which I think is what Boris is counting on, because he don't want to lock nothing down, does he? Like they have over in Ireland and in Wales. Dear. Sylvia, it's my old mixer. Then you need a new one, Silver. Then yeah. Well, I personally recommend obviously the one that I use, but there are a few probably worth looking at. Because it's not. Yes, I can't remember how much to pay for it now, but it's not a cheap mixer. But at least you know it's going to last for blooming donkeys. Once you've splashed out on it, you get through a few paddles. But excuse me, wow, what is it? Oh, flipping! No wonder it's nearly 10 to 8. Again, the last few nights as well, I've been thinking, what's the time? Is it like about 11? And it's like 9:15. Nothing. Yeah, really. And yes, I don't know. That's where I've been getting up early and going to bed ridiculously late. But I'll get into as I say, I get into a terrible habit of going to bed too late, getting up too late, and I think I must start getting up early again before I go back to work. But normally the first day I get up early again is the first day I'm going back to work. So it's a bit of a shock that first morning, but once you're back in the swing of it, and the solstice thing's past, isn't it? So the days are starting to get longer again. Not that you notice yet. They get a bit lighter a little bit earlier in the morning as opposed to staying lighter later in the evening. But at the minute, it still feels like the middle of the night. That's sort of 7 in the morning. Oh dear. Yeah, hope you're all right, Lee. Simon, I try to be a good bloke, mate, best I can. Cheers, mate. Appreciate it. How's the kitchen going? Oh, Lee, mate, I haven't started. I'm gonna have to get another skip on the old drive to get rid of my old kitchen. Apart from the bits my father-in-law wants to take to his bowls club because he's a chippy. Even though he's 90 odd, he's still like cracking at it, but he's as fit as a fiddle, bless him. And it's him that bought me the whiskey, funnily enough. But he did ask me, and I said, well, actually, I do really like a single malt, if you're asking what I really would like for Christmas. So he got me that, which is why I'm enjoying it this evening. Yeah, so no, I haven't started on the kitchen yet, mate. It's all in my garage. The missus is gagging for me to start smashing out the old one, but we thought we'd get Christmas Day at least and Boxing Day out of the way, because we did have family over for Christmas. Today is our first, ain't got to do nothing kind of, well, not this morning, because there's still some family here and boyfriends and stuff. Not mine, the daughters. And but yeah, we're gonna get cracking. I mean, father-in-law, who lives next door, fortunately, he wants to get cracking on it as well. So if the missus and my father-in-law have their way, we'll be starting to crack on with that tomorrow. And once I've started ripping it out, there's no return, because if it's, my life won't be worth living if I decide to have any kind of day off in between starting to rip out the old one and putting in the other one. So, but I might take some video of it. The swearing's not too heavy, and yeah, put some bits up. So you can see my struggles and how to adapt an old kitchen from a different kitchen into yours. Which, if you know a good chippy, which I do, then shouldn't be too much of a problem. But yeah, I'll keep you posted on that one, and I'll let you know how it's all going. Hello, James. Nice to see you, mate. Are you saying hello to Lee? I don't know anymore. Simon, same here. I hate the first day back. Oh, yeah, I can't. Once I'm back and in the swing, then I start enjoying it. Is that the right word? I'm glad, right, it's the new year. Don't bother making any New Year's resolutions, because generally that don't last 5 minutes. If I do get back to the gym, January is probably the worst time to go, because that's when everyone's decided they're going to get a new body for the new year. And for the whole of January, basically, the gym is generally packed. And for some reason, packed on a Monday night. I don't know why that is. Yeah, after that, but come February, most of those people have stopped going. Yeah, and the New Year's resolutions of getting a new body for 22, or whatever they call it now, new for 22, is kind of an yeah. I've signed up for a year, but that's my lot. That's my lot. Dear. Lee, I think my Easy Mix got lost in the post. Didn't even get a sniff of some free ones. Ah, sorry, Lee, man. I think it's you that liked some the most as well, wasn't it? I'm assuming that you did put your name in the old hat, didn't you, by filling in the form on the Easy Mix site. But yeah, quite a fair bit of stuff got dished out over Christmas, mate, over December, and some hats and t-shirts and that gaming chair as well. That all went. I don't need too much of it at the minute, and I haven't been working that close up to Christmas, so I've got a decent wedge of Easy Mix in the garage and raring to go next year. I have to say I'm mostly getting through retarder, which most of you guys know why that is. So yay, diggity. Have you considered using a Refinery Plaz effects for the final pass? If I had one, mate, I'd definitely give it a go and see what it was like. I haven't thought about going out and spending the money on buying one, but yeah, it probably would be nice. Hello, John. I haven't seen you for a while, mate. Merry Christmas. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. I hope you've had a good one, mate. And I hope you've kept illness free and COVID free and all that malarkey. And thank you as well for patronising the site and the channel and all the rest of it. Really appreciate it. Using patronising in a good way, not in a bad way. Being a patron of me channel. Some of the lads did okay. Fair play. Yeah. Quite a few of the guys got it, didn't they? Eddie got quite a big. Because the later in December it was, the more bags of Easy Mix you got, wasn't it? So, and you could choose whether you wanted more retarder or more the speedy uppy half time. That's it. Yeah, I haven't had that much brandy yet. Whiskey. Because normally I've got a bottle of brandy, and I quite like brandy, but generally most brandies taste the same, whereas whiskies are like, yeah, lovely. For anyone that's not a regular, I normally just drink Coca-Cola on a Monday night when I'm because I've got work the next day and it's not Christmas, and I don't normally drink at work. So, but hey, it's Christmas, so I'm having a whiskey tonight. Okay, what's your biggest error or mistake on a job? I laid the floor for a woman. It's in one of the. I explained it all in one of the other live streams, and I ballsed it up basically, and she wasn't happy, and she had a kitchen fitted on top of it all before deciding like she wasn't happy and wanted me to pay to get it all ripped out and redo the floor. And I offered to fix the floor and make it right, like around the kitchen. I was quite happy to go under it and make it level, but she didn't want any of that. But so in the end, as long as you offer to put something right that is wrong. But that's the biggest mistake I've ever made, and I don't think I've ever laid the floor since, because the grief I got from it, just from a stress point of view, I thought, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to bother with floors anymore. So that was probably my biggest error, and doing a few ceilings with a really thin watered down coat of PVA on top of Artex that I was bonding and setting, and that particular one was for a builder. I'd done one for my sister as well, and they fell down the next day, so I had to go back and do them for nothing basically, but that was donkeys years ago, and that's why I'm a great fan of neat PVA and let it dry before I put anything on it, and I've been doing that for absolutely donkeys years and I've never had a problem. So yeah, but the floor was probably my biggest error. Never had. Don't think I might have, nothing that sticks in my head. Massive error wise on the plastering front. One big error a friend of mine made when we worked on building sites. I mean, the health and safety was good, and you were meant to wear like helmets and stuff. And we were walking under this building that had a lot of scaffolding underneath it. I can't remember why. And I kept my hat on, my hard hat, and he took his off. It's not plastering related, it's just like a mistake someone I was with that I knew made. And he took his hat off, and we had to kind of crouch down to walk through this thing to get out of the site. And he walked forehead first into the end of a scaffold pole. And we was up on site up in London, and I spent the rest of the day with him. I took him to A&E where we were for most of the day. So I'm pretty sure our boss probably docked us for that. Actually, I think we were doing not price work, we were on day work, or we might have been on price work, but either way we weren't getting any money after that. But man, that's a lot of blood. But yeah, so everybody really kept his hat on. I mean, took it off because he thought he couldn't see properly, but then obviously, yeah. But anyway, I digress. Mark, I love the Plazzy for the old last trout. I might get a Plazzy, yeah. I might get a Plazzy Flex, and see what happens. Because let's face it, the last bit of troweling up you do is what gives you a particular kind of finish on that old wall for the paint. James, before you apply your second coat, do you ever get away without flattening your first coat, or will you always give the first coat a flatten regardless? I mean, I always flatten the first coat now because I flatten it out because of the invention of the speed skim and the fact that I now use a speed skim. I didn't used to, but generally it's the second coat you're putting on is what you use to flatten out the first coat. So you'd whack the first coat. Say there's no speed skims, you put your first coat on. Obviously you get it as flat as you can get a first coat on a wall, and then that second coat is what you use to then start to go over that first coat and flatten that first coat out using the second coat. Basically the second coat is a flattening coat. So yeah, I would very often be my first coat looked terrible, but the second coat would flatten that out, which is how the process generally worked. But now, as I say, now I've got a speed skim. I'm just in a habit of like, I get that first coat on and I roll it off, and then when I am flattening out with the second coat, obviously there's a lot less flattening out to do. and yeah. So I think that probably answers your question, mate, doesn't it, at the end of the day? So yeah, I'll always flatten out the first coat with my speed skim. If I didn't have a speed skim, or for some reason I decided I would soak it this Christmas to get all the muck off it, so it looked like a speed skim again, and forgot it on my first day back on the job, then yeah, I'd put my first coat on and I would flatten that out with my second. I mean, I've promised myself, I think, like, you've got plenty of time off now. Put all your speed skims and your trowels in a tub of water, stick some bicarb in it or whatever helps to get the gear off, and then they should all be lovely for the new year. So, but still, so far, I still haven't done it. They're still either in the back of my motor or loose in the garage, and I haven't. But I will. I'm going to do it. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. Oh dear. For anyone that's just joined us or is not a regular here, I'm Eric the Plasterer. This is Ask the Plasterer, Christmas edition. And we're just having a bit of a chat about Christmas, what we've got, projects we got and stuff like that. And I'm here generally to answer any plastering related questions that anybody might have, whether it's customers, newbies, time-served tradesmen, and the regular guys. And welcome. If you've not been here before, welcome. If you're watching on the telly box, welcome. Sorry you can't type anything unless you've got the technology to do that when you're watching it on the TV. You can normally ring in if you are watching on the TV, but I haven't got the phone line operating this evening. But any other Monday that we do Ask the Plasterer, which will be back to normal in a fortnight's time. Yeah, a fortnight's time from today. From 7 o'clock, normally go on to about 8:30, and be nice to see you at that, and we'll just be back on like, yay, giving it some. How are we doing for time? We normally finish about 8:30. We're already 2 minutes past 8, which is good because I wasn't sure whether there'd be anyone wanting to chat tonight or might just want to put their feet up in front of the telly. But as usual, a bit like a Saturday, there's not a lot of great stuff on the telly, even though it's Christmas, and Christmas Day TV or even Boxing Day TV was fairly disappointing. I'm of an age where I still really miss the Two Ronnies Christmas special or My's Christmas special, which obviously there ain't going to be any of unless they do some kind of weird digital mastery type thing in the future. But hey, I'm sure there's some other good programs I can watch. Eka, what in your opinion is the best way to straighten sand cement reveals? What I used to do, you have to be, I mean, you can buy kind of a gadget that you can use to go up the corner of reveals to get them nice and square and flat. But before then, we used to basically get a piece of wood and this is where you have to be careful, stick a nail in the end, and the top end of the wood went against your bead, and the bottom, you had the piece of wood sort of going in, and the nail would sit on the inside lip of the actual window frame, and you'd run it up to get it nice and square. But you had to be very careful that you didn't have some kind of sharp-edged head of the nail digging a groove or any kind of mark into the windowsill, especially if it's a plastic one. So yeah, but if you just use a kind of like a round head type nail that was had a soft kind of head to it, you could use that basically to get it nice and square. But you can buy, I don't know what they're called. Mark, you know what they are, don't you? If you're still here, because Mark's got one and he's mentioned it to one of the other guys. That it's like a kind of square that fits around and into a reveal. So when you're rolling it up and down, you can get even standard cement or a bonding or even a skim come to that. You can use that. But if you use the stick and nail method, just be very careful of the frame that you've got your nail against. Oh dear. Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. New Year, I used to go to New Year's parties, and my sister, usually over in Battersea, and they had a hall down the end of her street, and it'd be like, oh, New Year, fancy dress. I mean, now, man, people mention fancy dress, I'm not going. I'm going, I really can't be bothered. I'm at that age when I want to get dressed up. Some kind of idiot. But I've been the Hulk, I've been Bob Geldof, I've done the drag thing once. Man, I make an ugly woman. But yeah, and I used to do things like that. And that's when I used to drink too much whiskey or Pernod or whatever and honk it all up in the pavement outside, and get drunk exceedingly quick. But it was a good crack. But now, man, if anything, I'll watch the fireworks on the telly. And I'm lucky if I can be bothered to stay up till 12. But I normally do stay up till 12. But yeah, you can forget that. Even when before the old COVID malarkey, I couldn't be bothered to go uptown. Well, you get to a certain age, you think, once you're up there and the fireworks are all done, you've got to get back with hundreds of thousands of other people trying to cram on a tube or whatever. Oh dear. Yeah, and gone are me days of staying out all night until the sun came up the next day. Oh dear. I think the only last time I can remember doing that was about 18. Oh dear me. It was fun at the time. I used to work I got a job in probably the second McDonald's to ever open in, this was when I was still at school, or just finishing school, in the fifth year. Didn't go into sixth form. And I worked at McDonald's in the Strand, and apart from the one at Marble Arch, which I think was the first one, I think the Strand was the second one. And I worked in there, and yeah, I get bloody good money. When I was, 16, 17? I can't remember how old I was. But yeah, and suits have come a long way, mate. The get up, I mean, used to be brown and really baggy. I mean, they don't look great now, but then it looked a right plonker. Oh dear, happy days. What made me talk about that? Can't remember. Mark, Rafina Reveal Square. There you go. Rafina Reveal Square. Of course it is. Ian, hi Eric. Hope you're well. Very well indeed, mate. Do you let the customer do any boarding for you to skim? And a few customers lately doing some to try and get the cost down, and it was a nightmare to skim. If they mention boarding it themselves, I'll ask them if they've done any boarding before, and I'll make a point of, because I tend to suggest that people use 6x3s anyway, because 8x4s are just a pain on domestics. And I'll say, look, they need to be staggered in like a brick wall. Don't butt them all up square against each other, because you've got a lot more chance of cracking if the joints aren't broken joints. If they've done some before as well, then I tend to be fairly happy with it. But I tend to, if a job's being boarded by a customer, 9 times out of 10 for me, they've already boarded it, and I'm going to look at the job already boarded. And if they've done a decent job of the boarding, then I'll do it. If it's a really rough old job, I'll probably have to have a discussion with them about how to sort it out and how much more that will make it cost. But yeah, if they're talking about doing the boarding themselves and they've never done it before, I don't know, it's a bit of a tricky one, mate, really, at the end of the day. But yeah, if they're because some people ask how much cheaper is it going to be if they do the boarding, and sometimes, depending on what your pricing is like, they might think, well, if it's only that much cheaper for you to do, or that much more expensive for you to do the boarding, then we'll stick with you doing the boarding. But yeah, mate, well, you can say, you can only offer advice on how they should board it. Some people, that if they've never done it before, they might stick one board up and then ring you and go, you know what, mate, I can't really do this boarding malarkey. Can you just go back to, we'll just pay you the full Monty to do the boarding as well. But yeah, it's a bit of yeah, you got to play that one by ear, Ian, at the end of the day, and see what happens. But yeah, if you have done one and it was a nightmare, then it's only if they've done a really rough job, or if they haven't fixed the balls properly here and there, and if you don't check it properly first, and I've been guilty of this, I've gone on a job, the boarding was done, it was staggered, it looked okay. But rather than kind of going over it, just giving it a gentle press of my hand, I've just made the assumption it's fine. And I've got my skim on, say doing a ceiling, for example, and suddenly I put a bit of pressure on it to push it up, and the ceiling, one of the balls will go up in the air, where one of the joints is either has not got any fixings in it, or not got enough fixings, or they've missed some fixings. And I think, oh, sugar, and I get the old screw gun out, and assuming that there is a timber under there, and try and get some more fixings in it. But yeah, it can be a nightmare, mate. But it's never been. I've never had any major problems. As I say, most of the jobs I've looked at have already been boarded by someone else or by a customer. Quite a few of my videos, the boarding's already been done by a customer, unless I'm specifically doing that. And but I generally make a point of saying it's not my boarding, just in case people want to like go, oh, blimey, that boarding's rubbish, and I go, oh, I'm just skimming it. But I suppose as long as it's flat, mate, and it's if they got big like lips in their boards, or they haven't staggered them, or they've got huge gaps around us. If they're trying to board a ceiling and they've left that massive gap around the edge. There's nothing that's not fixable, but I suppose it's, as long as I suppose what you really need to say to them, Ian, is if you board it, I'll get it boarded and I'll come out and I'll have a quick look at it as soon as you've got the boards up. And if they're boarding the ceiling and they've left a massive gap along part of where the ceiling's meant to be meeting the wall, and there's like a silly gap there that you've got to fill, it's a void, and you say, well, look, I've got a fart ass about with that. Well, don't say the arse bit. I've got a fart about with that for a while, because the board really should butt into the wall at least, or maybe go in so it's touching the bricks. But yeah, so if they're happy to do it, I'll let them do it, because sometimes I know I can fit, if I'm just going to skim a job and I haven't got to board it, then I know I can get in and out of it quicker and still get a fairly good price for the skimming, obviously, and move on to your next job. I tell you what, guys, should we move over to the pub for a little bit, have a little bit of because I'm missing my Irish jigs, if I'm honest. I made a little bit of background noise, which I think I've turned down, so it shouldn't be too loud. There you go. How's that? Tell me if you want to go back to the campfire at any point. I'm quite happy to do so. If anyone's just joined us, this is the Christmas edition of Ask the Plasterer with me, Eric Plasterer. Been plasterer for 37 years. And any younger guys out there, I remember being 20 odd, even 30, and I'm pushing 60 now. And just a warning, man, it comes quick. Dear, that's the only thing I've discovered as I've got older, that flipping hell, you get old really quick. Because when you're in your 20s and your 30s, you do kind of feel like our life goes on forever. Even though hopefully you'll live to be 70, 80, 90, God willing. And you go 1 minute, you're and if you've got kids, they're little, and you're in your 30s, and it's all like, yeah, life's good. Life's still good, you know. Thank God. But when you hit 60 and you think, whoa, hang on a minute, or nearly anyway, you think, wow, that come around quick. And if I'm lucky enough to live till I'm 90, which is when I'm planning to retire, then you think, that ain't far. That's gonna whiz around even quicker, because time seems to go fast anyway the older you get. So, and then I think at the end of the day, that, blimey, life is pretty short, so make the most of it, guys. Ah, dear. I'm not just saying that because I've been on the old whiskey, because I've only had one and I haven't even finished it, so okay, it's not a pub measure, but you know. Excuse me. How is the background noise there, guys? It's not too noisy, is it? Mark, the older you get, the quicker time goes. Yeah, exactly, Mark, exactly. it's yeah. I don't mind you. I mean, it's a privilege to get old, because sadly so many people die young, and and you kind of think, well, to still be around as time goes by, you're very fortunate, and that's what you've got to appreciate in life. So I'm not knocking it at all, but especially the guys and a couple of friends of mine that have since that are a little bit younger than me actually, and they've died. And you kind of think, one of them sadly, because he did quite like a drink and it done his liver in like a kipper, and the other guy, I hadn't seen him for years, but it was a school friend of mine, and I just heard on the grapevine that he'd gone, and you kind of think, flipping hell. And Paul Ritter on the old Friday night dinner, for any of you guys that watched that, I wasn't a massive fan of it earlier on, but I'd watched them occasionally, and it did make me laugh. And he sadly popped his clogs, and he was only 53, and you kind of think, flipping hell. But you've got to make the most of every minute, really, of every day, because while life, I mean, there's shit, excuse my French, but shit happens, and you just got to hope that you get as little of that through your life as possible. And while things are good in the space of a day, when it comes to family, friends, your life in general, work, and if they're fairly good, then you've got to appreciate that, because a lot of people are a hell of a lot worse off, and things could get worse or sadder from one day to the next. So while the day is being good, just enjoy it, make the most of it, try to be as happy as possible. As said Eric the Philosopher. Welcome to Eric the Philosopher, Ask the Philosopher with Eric the Plasterer. No, don't do that. Oh dear. For anyone that's just joined us, this is Ask the Plasterer Christmas edition with me, Eric the Plasterer. I've been a plasterer for 37 years, here to answer any plastering related questions, or just generally have a post-Christmas chat about anything you like, really. Since it's Christmas, it can be about new tools you've been out, what kind of Christmas you've had, what tools you got for Christmas, stuff and things like that. Oh, I've got a bit of sparkly on there. I got a load of green screens from that I asked my missus. She said, what do you want for Christmas? I said, get me some green screen material. I said, you can never have enough green screens for the kind of stuff I want to do, because I'm into special effects and stuff like that. Well, we're getting into it now. I'm learning how to use the software a lot more, and as you'll discover in the next year. And all these movies you watch, there's so much background stuff is all done with green screen. The technology, more fancy stuff nowadays as well, but that is still a major thing they use, and I'm very much into it. So I've got green screen coming out my ear rolls, and we've got some in here tonight. Normally I've got a green screen really close behind me, which, if I'm honest, normally works better than it does tonight. I mean, tonight it's right over there. I've got so much. I've got green screen. Oh, mummy light there. I've got green screen on the bed, green screen round the left, and right back there. See, look, I can do that without bashing it with my hands. And so, yeah. That's my I'm easily pleased. Socks, pants, and green screens. Oh, and a nice single malt whiskey. Oh dear. Cheers. Merry Christmas. Yeah. How are we doing? 20 past 8, guys. So I'll probably go on till 8:30. Might as well. We've got this far, haven't we? So might as well take it up to the end. If right, Diggity, what you got there, Matt? You should do a video of your setup. Oh, how this lot works? Yeah, can do. Make it, well, it'd be interesting for people that are kind of into it, I suppose. It's because a lot of obviously a lot of channels I watch other than the plastering ones are guys that do special effects, how to use the software that I use to put pretend backgrounds in, how to put your set. What I'm working on at the moment, I did a little bit of it I put on Facebook. It was a silly thing, like I got old James Bond, Daniel Craig from Skyfall having a chat with Q. Get me Q and me mixed up, it's Q in it. And and then I kind of like crawling down behind them, and I think I titled it "Robbing My First Art Gallery" or something like that. And but I'm learning now to put yourself properly into a movie. So I'm going to be sometime early next year. I'm going to be having a proper sit down and a chat with James Bond. So, but I'll be talking about plastering, and yeah, but we'll see how that all goes. But I like learning how to do all that kind of stuff, and I really enjoy that. But it's not generally something that people that like tune into a plastering channel to watch plastering videos don't want to watch that kind of stuff. But if I can incorporate something that's I think is a little bit clever, or might make my plastering videos different, but still be plastering videos, but where I can add stuff in it which is just makes them different to everybody else's plastering video, then yeah, then I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna do that. Eka, what's your preferred way to bead up windows, angles, etc.? What a lot of the guys will know, Eka, is that I've really got into, when it comes to plasterboard, like thin coat beads on either existing old plaster that I'm going to go over, or plasterboard, I stick it on. I stick a massive amount of it on now with mitre glue, an accelerator, basically because it takes about 5 seconds to go off, which if you're in a hurry, what I tend to do, if I'm in a room, say for example it's an old plastered room, it's got a few cracks in it here and there, it just needs skimming, there's no major issues in there, I PVA everything with a neat coat of my cheap B&Q or Everbuild PVA. I don't water it down, give it a good old coating of that with a roller. I put one coat on, I put it on neat, I let it dry completely. Once that's gone, I'll put my scrim over any cracks, and that sticks nice to me old dry PVA, and then I'll cut all my beads and then I'll stick those on very quickly with my old mitre glue and accelerator spray. Literally put the glue on the bead, push the bead on. I mean, as long as there's a decent level and they're not really out of whack, you can literally just squash those on, spray the accelerator on, which goes through the holes anyway and hits the glue that's behind it, and then they're done, they're gone. And you can whack all your beads on, so you've got the room prepped, ready to go. All you've got to do then, and that can be the day before, it could be the same day, is whack your gear up and go, and off you go. And if you, depending on if you're doing a lot or a little, you can put your retarders in to try and whack more on in one big hit, or put your accelerator in and to do your small amounts of wool in quick chunks, depending on how you work, whether you're like a really good spread or whether you're more of a novice that might want to do slow stuff down and do all at a time. But basically you can hit it. But yeah, short answer is I stick most of my beads on now with mitre glue, and I love it. Obviously not my render beads, I stick them on with whatever gear I'm using. If I'm bonding, I'll stick those with bonding. If I'm doing a render, I'll stick those into the render. When I'm rendering, in my last video that I put up, you can build out the corner and squash the bead into that, and then once your sand cement's gone, which ideally is not till the next day, then put your scratch coat on, or your top coat. But I'll generally, when I'm doing my scratch coat, I'll build out, say like I'm doing a corner pillar, I'll build that out with gear, and I'll make it a bit fatter on the corner, and then I'll squash and tap and level my bead up into that, and then scratch the sides of it, and then that's all good to go for the following day to get my top coat of render on that. I did discover years ago that the way sand and cement can shrink and crack, that you're best to let it, if it's going to do that, you're best to let it shrink and crack prior to putting a skim on it. Because again, it only happened to me once, I think. I set something, I rendered something, and then I skimmed it, but I skimmed it with the same day, which yeah, you really shouldn't do with sand and cement. But because there was a lot of suction there, it pulled in tight, so I thought, hey, why not whack the skim on? But obviously the sand cement shrunk, and customer called me. Oh, I might have just gone back the next day to do more work, and wow, it had some cracks in it, but it was solid as a rock. It wasn't going anywhere. And I said, I think if we could fill these cracks, and they ain't going to open up again. But it did look flipping terrible. But yeah, I think that's the first time I realised you should not skim over a render that's not had at least 12 to 24 hours to dry out. Don't skim over it the same day. But yeah, Mark, you'll get that Hollywood this year. Yeah, I'm hoping to get that Hollywood star this year, mate. If I keep it up, we'll see. Things will either stay the same, go for it, or they'll go downhill. But as long as it's ticking over, mate, and even if it's slow growth, I will soldier on with Plasterer.org.uk channel, and that's the same as my website name, by the way, guys. And yeah, and Ask the Plasterer. I'll keep doing Ask the Plasterer, mate, because I quite like doing it, and the forum and all that's nice. But we can all chat on there, and what have you. I noticed I'm getting a lot more of this this kind of rubbish coming up on the live streams, which I don't know. I really don't know why they bother. But hey ho, excuse me. On this James Bond mixing finish, it's probably doable, Mark. Actually. Oh, that was nice. I thought that wasn't going to come out, that one. Sorry. Dear. Michael. Hello, Michael. Trying to join the Discord site. But hang on, what's going wrong there? Trying to join the Discord site. But I don't think I've got any joy trying to find the green tick box above the rules. Yeah, no, it should be really simple. On that rules page, which basically when you're on that, if you scroll up you might have to scroll up just a little bit. There's a green box next to it. It should have a number, which currently is about 48, and there's a little tick in that box. At least I think there's a tick in that box. But anyway, you have to tick that box, and then it'll say 49, and you will be a member, and then you can look at all the same pages every other member can look at, because until you do that you can't get onto any of it. But yeah, give that a try. You're on the rules page, you might have to scroll up a little bit, but there should be a number, which can say it's currently is about 48, and that box, little green box there, you need to put a tick in it, and then that will Bob's your uncle. Give that a try and get back to me tonight before 8:30, mate. Go on, go for it. Go for it. I'll still be here. That's you too, Marky boy. Yeah, sometimes yeah. I don't think it's anything. It's just that I'm a bit of a sneezer now and again, and there's nothing worse than when that sneeze is kind of like it's there and then it just goes away rather than coming out. Dear. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling relaxed until tomorrow when the missus says, right, you're going to start on this kitchen. Which I'm not looking forward to. But yeah, only because I can't be doing stuff like this instead, or playing on my computer, or playing with me special effects. Right. Yeah, getting quite a few of these nonsensy kind of. They're not even links, are they? As far as I know, coming up on the old screen. Ooh. Right, you got any massive plans for the new year, or are you doing the same as me, just staying indoors and watching the old watching the box probably, or the old big fat quiz of the year? I used to quite like that, but it's got a bit boring now and it's a bit samey, like a lot of stuff they put on the old box. A bit samey. You found it. Oh, well done, Michael. Nice one. 49. Yay! We nearly got 50 guys on there, which is more than enough when you just want to have a kind of. The good thing about it, Michael, is while the numbers on there are quite low, a bit like the live stream, even when it's not a Christmas one, is that the questions go up slow enough that I can apart from when I miss some because I'm just a bit useless sometimes, they go up slow enough that you can answer everyone's questions. But when any kind of thing like this gets too busy, the questions just like fly up a screen, as you've probably seen on the more popular channels, and they just answer the odd one that they can, or you get people on there paying money, really paying money to get their question highlighted, so there's more chance of the guy doing the live stream of answering their question because they've paid a £5. I can never quite work that out. I mean, I understand if you follow a channel and you really enjoy their content, doing these donations into the channel and stuff like that. But I still kind of think, I mean, there's some channels out there I really enjoy, but yeah, I still don't know if I'd want to donate a regular monthly amount for them to keep doing it. I don't mind buying products via their links on their channels because they get kicked back out of that, or if they're selling something that they've made themselves, especially when it comes to special effects stuff, that I will buy that often. But I don't think, oh, you know what, yeah, I'll send that guy a tenner a month to help his channel. But hey ho, everybody's different, thankfully, you know. And if you're a really massive channel, then you can tend to make a fairly decent whack out of just the advertising revenues and stuff, which is where most of the money comes from. I regularly recently looked up Mr. Beast because people are going, I've heard people talk about Mr. Beast in the past, and I'm thinking, right, okay. It turns out Mr. Beast was originally, I assume he still is like a professional gamer. And gaming is massive out there in cyberspace, and there's big bucks in it. And he was obviously a really good gamer, but he doesn't do gaming videos now. He just does videos of giving money away and stuff because he's got a ridiculous amount of X amount of million subscribers, and like he puts up a video and it's at 20 million views in like an hour, and you think they've been ill, but I think he makes about $3 million a month or something ridiculous. He doesn't need sponsoring. I don't think he has sponsors, but then he's not gonna. He makes videos about giving money away to people, or giving them £100,000, but they've got to spend it in 1 minute or something crazy. You can't think of anything else to make videos about anymore. But anyway, he ain't got to worry about paying the bills anymore at the end of the day. Oh dear. My favourite hobby now, since I got into it, since I've been a bit older, is doing this. Is doing a YouTube channel, and I'm really like messing about with special effects, how they work, and filming and stuff like that. I mean, I've got a fog machine. I've got a couple of cameras. I've got the software that most of the professional guys use for editing stuff and doing special effects. And when I first got it, you kind of look at it and you think, how the hell do you use this stuff? It is, let's be fair, it's complicated. But once you get the hang of it, like anything else, then you kind of think, it's not as complicated. It still is, but you've learned how to do something on it and how these things work, and you can learn a lot of stuff with this software, and still be millions of things you could do on there, but you just don't know how to do. But as long as it meets your needs and that, and that's my major hobby now, if I'm honest. Yeah, it can take up hours of your time. Anything you do on a computer, let's face it, even on your phone, guys, you can think, I'll pop and have a look at Facebook, this, that and the other for 5 minutes, and suddenly half an hour's gone by, and you think, what happened there? Or an hour's gone by. or I suppose like with gamers as well, they think, oh, you do a bit of do a bit of gaming, and before you know it, a whole day, you think, oh, a whole day just in cyberspace is a bit much. But that's my hobby. At the end of the day, I used to play the guitar, but to a certain degree, but not as well as I would have liked to be able to play it. And I haven't played it for at least a couple of years now. And if you don't do it, and you were never really good at it, or you didn't start as a kid, then you forget how to. You forget where the chords are. Your fingers get soft because you get really tough skin on your fingertips, like the calluses we get from plastering around here. When you play guitar, you get really hard calluses on the tips of your fingers, the ones that are doing the fretboard. And but it's nice. I'd love to be able to play other instruments and stuff like that. But I used to play the guitar as a bit of a hobby as well, which again is quite time consuming if you want to learn to do it and keep doing it. You've got to fit it in somewhere in your daily life. Because let's face it, guys, life generally is, unless you live on your own or you live with your mum and you plan to stay there for the rest of your days, there's so many things you've got to try and fit in to your life. So many hobbies you've got to kind of make time for them, which you do if you enjoy doing something other than when you're at work and stuff. You make the time to fit it in. James, do you use tool bags for your trowels, or do you just stick them in your buckets? Now I stick most of my tools in that big mixing bucket that I use, and that big tough bucket, whatever they're called. I might shove most of my tools in that will fit in it, and the hawk, and then I stick my trowels on top of the hawk and blah blah blah. I think I even stick my pan of my bucket of PVA and roller, I stick that in there as well. Put a hawk over the top, put other things on top of that, put the hammer and other bits around that. So I just carry the whole thing up like a giant tool bag. It weighs a bloody ton, but at least once I've carried that into the customer's house, I've got most of my gear in there, apart from the all the other like speed skims and stuff. But I used to have 2 tool bags years ago, but I found most of the stuff you can't get in a flipping tool bag. And they get bricked or they don't hold enough, so you put your tools in, but especially if you try sticking your hawk in there as well. I mean, years ago I used to take the handle off my hawk and all that to try and get it in a bag, and then I thought all that screwing your handle back on it every day, plus it just gets knackered if you keep doing that. I shove them all in the big bucket. I haven't used a proper tool bag in I don't know how long. Yeah, my stuff generally, some things I might whack into a Tesco bag. If there's certainly that'll be easy mix. I think, I need some easy mix, and I'll get a Tesco bag and I'll shove that in there. The easy mix in with my sandwiches and my coffee or whatever. But I haven't used a real tool bag in donkeys. Oh, they're not coming up on my live chat. What's not coming up on your live chat? The dodgy linky things? JT, which speed skim is best? I've seen Ox and Refina, different blades. Which one would you recommend? I can only recommend the Ox speed skim because that's what I've been using, JT. For my stuff, use a plastic blade when the gear is really wet, especially when we're talking about skimming here, because it helps open the texture of the finish. So it'll dry. It makes it more, lets the air get into it more, so it'll start to go off quicker. If you use a metal blade speed skim over a really wet finish, it will just draw the water to the surface and make it blister and cause you no end of grief. I only use a metal bladed Ox speed skim for when I've got water on my last kind of trowel ups to go over the whole wall to get it nice and flat and smooth before I finish it off with a flexi trowel. And use the plastic one for going over my first coat to flatten it out before I start laying on my second coat. I've heard a lot of the other types of spatulas and stuff are good, but once you buy a particular one and you use it, because you get speed skims of different lengths, and you start using them and they do the job, unless you're like doing recommendations all the time for products and stuff on a YouTube channel. There's not a lot of point in splashing out more money on a different type of speed skim unless you really want to see what it's like, and you're happy to do that. Some guys have a collection of trowels. I have my Marshalltown, my Flexi trowel, and I've got 3 speed skims, different lengths, plastic and metal blade, and they did the job. And I'll probably only buy a different one or a new one when one of those is on its way out. Which, if you looked at my speed skims, they all look like they're on their way out. Because they badly need cleaning. I've just found no matter how hard you try and keep something clean, unless you're literally polishing the thing before you go home, it's just not going to stay like that. You're still going to get that residue that you get from finish on the back of a trowel. My first couple of Marshalltowns I bought, I had one that was all gold on the back. I thought, oh, that looks beautiful. But you just can't keep it like that, no matter what you do. And not unless you don't never use it and just put it on the wall as a like an ornament. Oh dear. Mark, yes. Oh, okay, mate. Yeah, no, yeah, because up on the screen, Mark, I'm getting like when you get some weird name of whatever they've made up name is, and they're like there'd be like 3 capital letters and a full stop, and then 3 small letters, and they don't kind of seem to mean anything. They don't seem to be a link. But if any of them came up, they look like you could click on them. Don't click on them, because it's just going to take you to some porno site or some dodgy site or some that's going to try and get your money out of you, or corrupts your computer or something like that. But yeah, right, how are we doing? Oh, flipping hell! I've gone well over time, guys. The missus will go, I thought you wasn't going to go on there for long tonight, as it's Christmas and there's only me and you in the house. Ah dear. But hey, right guys, I'm gonna call it a night. Again, thanks for coming to this like you do. Regular guys, Mark, Michael, James, Diggity, Eddie, everybody else that knows me. I really appreciate you coming to Ask the Plasterer, and following this channel, and being part of the old Discord community, which is probably what we'll see most of you on sooner rather than later, probably tomorrow. But if I don't see you before, have a fantastic new year, and yeah, hope your Christmas is really good, and here's to a great 2022, and I hope this COVID malarkey we get used to, get it sorted and used to living with it and all the rest of it. Yeah, no, yeah, thanks for that, mate. I'm going to need a lot of luck with that kitchen fitting. But yeah, if I'm not here in a fortnight's time, you know the missus has done away with me, or she's murdered me for not getting that sorted, or not getting it finished, or I won't be allowed to do an Ask the Plasterer. She'll probably go, you're not doing Ask the Plasterer until the kitchen is finished, and I don't mean nearly finished, I mean finished. So I've been married to her long enough to know that's probably what she's going to say. So I better get cracking. Oh dear. Right, cheers again guys, and yeah, we'll see you very soon. Cheers for now. Bye.